The sheriff wouldn't. And please. Good afternoon. It is 2 o'clock, and I'd like to call to order the August 2nd meeting of the Oklahoma City Water Utilities Trust. Next item on the agenda is approval of the July 19th meeting minutes. They're in your packet. Do the trustees have any questions or comments? Seeing none, is there a motion for approval? We have a motion and a second. Please vote. And it passes unanimously.
Trustee Stone. Trustee Stone, second.
You vote.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. Next up is the consent docket. A number of items on the consent docket today, from consultant review committee reports to some amendments and change orders, some contract awards, projects being put out to bid. Are there any questions or items that the trustees would like to pull for individual consideration? I do have a question for the general manager on item B, which is the surge system operational enhancements. So that can be done in a lot of different ways. Specifically, what are we going to do to, I guess, to enhance the surge protection at Hefner?
So we have nearly completed painting the tank. Now we're working on the
I know one thing, that's not going to help surge protection by painting the tank.
one part. We have a number of mechanical and electronic items that have aged beyond their life cycle. So we're going to replace some valves. We're going to replace some controllers. So that's what this project will do.
So the controllers being able to be better controlled and open at a slower rate will control the surge?
Yes.
Okay, very good. That's helpful. Thank you. Other questions for Mr. Browning? Seeing none, is there a motion on the consent docket? We have a motion and a second. Please vote. And it passes. There's nothing on the concurrence docket. Under emergency contracts, there's an emergency contract for replacement of a 48-inch aerial crossing out at the intersection or near the intersection of Reno and the Tinker Diagonal for $568,000. Are there any questions or comments regarding that? It's a crossing that's at the end of its useful life.
It was actually leaking, so we had to execute the work order quickly.
Questions or comments? Is there a motion? We have a motion second. Please vote. And it passes unanimously. Next up is items for individual consideration. We have an amendment that we talked about a couple of weeks ago when we awarded the contract for the South Canadian wastewater treatment plant. We would come back and do some value engineering and have a decrease. And we have a decrease for just a couple of biscuits short of $14.5 million. I don't know if I've ever seen a changeover, a deduct change order for $14.5 million before. That's actually fairly impressive.
We're here to please.
Well, I gotta say, I was going through all the other ones with the increase, getting ready to add them up, and yeah, then I saw this decrease for that much. I'm like, okay, yeah, we're good.
Very good, yeah. So, Mr. Chairman, just for your information, there will be a second one coming forth after ODEQ evaluates our recommendations. And upon approval, there will be another $9 or so million deduct change order coming your way as well.
And so some of this had to do things that did not affect the process of the
Exactly.
facility, and some did affect the process. So this is the non-process affected, and the other
Yes.
will be hopefully approved by DEQ and then brought forward.
Yes.
Questions regarding this? Would somebody like to have the honor of making a motion on a $14.5 million deduct change order?
Yeah.
We have a motion and a second. Please cast your vote. And it passes unanimously. Any items from trustees this afternoon? Seeing none, General Manager?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A couple of things I would like to point out. I mentioned at the last meeting that Lake Draper was about 8 feet below full pool. It's now about 9 feet below full pool. We are treating a lot of water, selling a lot of water. We're pumping from Lake Atoka and McGee Creek as much as possible, but with the pumpage, the high demand, and the extreme heat causing evaporation, we're losing ground on Draper. So if it drops 1 more foot, we're probably going to have to contemplate closing the boat ramps. Secondly, at Lake Hefner, it is now 3.5 feet below full pool. It has dropped 3 feet in the past month. We've had little to no rain. North Canadian River is flowing very, very slow. In our lake balance plan that was approved a few years ago, we put together a plan consistent with the SARTS agreement where we would keep all the lakes within a reasonable level of one another. We chose 2 feet. Right now, we're about 3.5 feet below, and Canton Lake is about 1/2 foot below full pool. I wanted to see what the rain this weekend did before we took any action, and it did little to nothing. So we are in the process of asking for a release from Canton. In order to do that, there is an agreement that was signed a number of years ago that says that we need to do a public hearing with the Water Resources Board. And then afterwards, we could initiate a release, and that release is limited from August 1 to September 30. So this is a good time to work on a release from Lake Canton. So we're in the process of doing that so that we can at least stop Hefner from continuing to drop. Unfortunately, in 30 days, it could drop another 3 feet with the amount of water that's being provided today and no rain and high temperatures predicted for the next few weeks. So we're doing everything we can to limit the impact on Lake Hefner as well. So I'd be happy to answer questions that you all may have.
And how many thousand acre feet are you anticipating the release to be?
Depending on when we can release, between 13 to 16,000. And we anticipate losing about 1/3 of that just through evaporation coming down the river from Lake Canton.
Evaporation being absorbed into the riverbeds, yeah.
Right. So that's the plan. We've already notified OWRB that we would like a public hearing. We've notified the Corps of Engineers that we'd like a release, so we're heading down that path.
So do we have historic numbers we can follow where we've done this in the past? And
The historic numbers in the past, we probably don't want to follow because we actually dropped Lake Canton significantly in the past. So with the lake balance plan, the impact will be lessened. So the impact on Lake Canton will be about 2 feet.
Okay. And how will we communicate that to others?
We will have a public hearing with OWRB, and it'll be advertised so that there's an association in the Canton area that will be informed, and they can certainly attend the public meeting.
And when do we think that hearing will be?
30 days.
Okay.
We've asked for, we have to do a 30-day notice, and then we can have the hearing. So we've asked OWRB to schedule us for 30 days.
I didn't understand that. Thank you.
Yep.
So Oklahoma City does have the storage rights in Lake Canton, and they have the water rights. And so they do have the right to do that. We have not taken water. Clearly, the right to do it is not an issue. It's always difficult to take water from Canton, and we haven't taken water from Canton for, I don't know, 6 years maybe? I don't know.
I have not done it during my tenure.
It's been a while.
Right.
I'm sorry? 2012? For 10 years is, wow. Wow.
It was a tough experience the last time, right?
Yeah, but. All right, any other questions for Mr. Browning? I'm not aware of any citizens that have signed up to speak, so therefore we are adjourned. Thank you.